Red nether bricks are a block that are practically on fire. They were introduced in 2016 as part of the Frostburn update, which saw some additions and changes to hot and cold biomes, including the nether. This added things such as polar bears, strays and husks to diversify the mob density, and it made the nether look a little less barren, which was something that was much needed at the time. Welcome back to day 6 of my 30 days, 30 builds creative challenge. With today's entry, I'm officially a fifth of the way through this journey, which is absolutely insane and mind-blowing to think about. In just a short time, this challenge has forced me to think differently about not only building, but also editing and social media platforms. By being presented with random blocks each day, I'm really forced to go out of my comfort zone, experimenting with palettes I would normally ignore and push through creative roadblocks, which I have been experiencing. More than anything, this process has taught me adaptability and durability. Learning how to take something that feels awkward or intimidating at first and pushing through those hurdles until I can shape it into something that I'm proud of. And this extends a lot in part to editing, which was something that I have never touched until this moment, but I really thought that having interesting editing would be a boon for anything that I did creatively. My adaptability was being tested in full force today, as the block that got chosen was red nether bricks. When I first pulled this, I just felt my heart sink. I knew this block would be challenging just from the fact that it is a statement piece block, not something that you would dedicate an entire build towards. The block's stark and deep crimson tone is just something that doesn't mesh very well with a lot of other known block combinations in the version that I'm working in. So it was something that was a little bit daunting when I was placing it down, and I would see that it would contrast so vividly against what I was usually doing. So this was something that I had to push through. It was something that I knew I wanted this to be the statement, and I wasn't going to back down from it or play it safe. I wanted to really push myself coming off the back of something that was really, in my opinion, impressive in the last video, and now I needed to one-up that. I needed to do better, and I needed to find something that was very, very visually interesting. I added the section to the side to add a little bit of visual interest, as well as hopefully tone down some of the vibrancy of the colours and add a natural transition between the light colours and the deep reds of the red nether brick, which I feel like, in my personal opinion, worked really well and added some visual layers to this build that it was much needing. As you can see, with this point in the structure, I was a little bit intimidated, so I decided to focus on some minute details to give my brain a little bit of a break and reevaluate where I wanted to go with the piece. Because it was such an intimidating colour, I wanted to take it step by step and make sure I was doing each side and each piece of the build the best I could do so that I wasn't failing at that last 10% like I normally do. The roofline I just kept simple with a traditional dark oak trim, but I wanted to add a little bit of texture variation into the actual structure of it, so I tried a gradient between blackstone all the way up to deep slate, and I think it ended up working really, really well after a little bit of fiddling around. I started by building up the walls very cleanly for this side just to get an idea of the overall size and structure that I would be working with before going in and deciding that I needed a little bit more of variance to the top part and added a balcony as well as a couple of windows and some detail pieces just to frame it out and make it look like it's a little bit more visually interesting. It was at this point where I really started to see the build take shape, and while I might not have used red nether bricks as a big proponent of it, the inspiration was definitely there. The colours were extremely bold and vibrant, and they gave a sort of dark and mysterious vibe to it. I added a bit of the build jutting out from the base just to add a little bit more visual interest to it and also bring in that mid-tone bricky texture from the front of the build over to the side to add a little bit of visual cohesion between both sides of the build. Working on the front of the build, I wanted a warmer tone, just like the trims that I'd been using in the previous layer up in the roofline, to add a little bit of warmth as well as break up the visual interest and continue some of the continuity upwards so your eye was drawn with it. I spent so long detailing out the top part of this roof, it is actually astonishing to watch it back. For this roof part down below, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, if I wanted to add a balcony, keep it flat, or add a little bit more visual interest, so I decided to, like every other problem I have in life, ignore it and move on to something else for a little bit of variation, which moves us up into the roof. But my problems chased me down, and that's where this disaster of a roof came from. I am still not happy with it, even looking back on it, but it was definitely something that needed to break up the visual interest. I probably should have just made it taller and maybe more cone-like instead of whatever this is. Look at me, you can see me really trying to pull this back, and I'm sorry girl, it's just not gonna work the way you wanted it to. I opted for a flat roof in the end just because I didn't feel like doing it, not because I'm lazy or anything like that and didn't want to do any design choices to the build. No, it was a design choice, I promise. The large window really helped, but I, again, feel like I should have probably done something else instead of letting my laziness take over. I did the same details on the back as I did on the front, which is why you see me racing around trying to figure out what I actually did in my moment of brilliance that I could not replicate for the life of me. The bottom layer of the build was very simplistic on the back. Again, I didn't want it to be the main focal point. I really wanted the build to be viewed from the front, so I kept it simplistic. But I think in hindsight, I probably should have added something here that broke up the wall a little bit more than this blank space that I left. Thankfully, on the side, I had the awareness to maybe put an entrance to this and have it undercover and jutting out from the build. So it did add a little bit of visual interest onto the side. I should have just added that same visual interest and intrigue into the back of the build as well. The last details of this build are a little bit lackluster. Looking back, I should have done a little bit more and maybe added some more greenery, maybe a custom tree or something similar. But that wraps up today, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll join me again for tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.